Nintendo, you son of a... Wait. Hold up. We cannot end the video like that. We have to discuss this. We got to break it down, you guys. Let's talk about all of this crazy hubbub about Nintendo's online service. Okay, so all joking aside, guys, this is something that I felt is important for me to talk about. This is a big deal, man. We all know what's going on. Nintendo Switch's online service launches next week. They finally detailed some of the official details about it at the Nintendo Direct a couple of days ago. And there is a lot of conversation going on about this. It is a big deal. It is a pretty huge controversy. I would say it's a controversy that's probably been brewing for about 3 or 4 weeks. I've discussed it in various videos over the last couple of weeks as well, more on smaller bite-sized topics that I certainly had my normal long conversations about, but it wasn't so much about any of the really controversial stuff, and it was before people were so angry, because a lot of people are angry right now, and very understandably, and we're going to get into that. But I guess the anger wasn't really heightened over the last few weeks when I talked about it here and there, like with the version 6.0 update and stuff like that. But now here we are with more information coming every day. The Nintendo Direct gave us some stuff directly from Nintendo about it. And now people's reactions a couple of days before it goes live are starting to give us an idea of what's going on. And like I said, very combative, people on both sides of the fence, but I would argue that the people who are really upset about it are the louder, more vocal people, and I would also say that there's definitely more of those people. So really, what I think my intent with this video is kind of just discuss, I don't want to necessarily say my final thoughts on Nintendo's online service, because I'm sure I'll have a reason to talk about it even more over the next few days, weeks, and months. Not to mention, if the service continues to evolve, obviously those thoughts will also change. Not to mention, I'm talking about it before it's even gone live. I haven't had a chance to use it or discuss it, or see other people use it and discuss it and give their opinions on it. So while I can't call them my final thoughts, I think I'm going to call them my updated or my ultimate thoughts up to the here and now. Like I said, just days before the thing actually goes live. I really want to discuss this and break it down because of how much of a conversation and a debate and a battle has been happening around the idea of their online service. And this also comes after earlier today. There's been so much conversation and debate happening, like I was just saying, on Twitter. Some people who I have no idea who they are, and a lot of them are certainly people who I know, friends of mine, fellow YouTubers, followers, and fans of me who I might be familiar with. Lots of talking about this. And I made my own tweet kind of on this topic earlier, you can see here. And so this is going to give you sort of a base idea of my ultimate opinion before I start to kind of get a little bit deeper into the idea. You know, ultimately saying, I see a ton of problems. I understand and acknowledge and agree with the vast majority of the anger. It's all real. The problems are real. Nintendo's dropping the ball in many arenas. However, just for what I'm personally looking for, what I would utilize the service for, and how I choose to spend my money, and in this case, my $20, the things that I am most interested in, I'm going to get for $20, and I also think they justify my $20 out of my wallet and my bank account to pay for my game time. And so that's just like the basic gist of my personal opinion. I'm one gamer with one opinion on this. What I don't intend to do or want to do or even come off like I'm trying to do in this video is I don't want to come off like I'm trying to tell any of you how to feel. If you're angry about it, you can be angry about it. There are plenty of reasons to be pissed at Nintendo for what they're doing, and that's what we're going to discuss. If you're totally happy with it and you're all about it and you can't wait to pay for it and you find no issues, also do the same thing. I think that's totally fine. I'm going to tell you how I feel, but I don't really care how you feel. And I guess when I say I don't care, I mean I don't care enough to tell you how you feel is wrong. You should feel just how I feel, because that's the only way to feel. I mean, honestly, you guys know me. You know that's not how I would typically be anyway. So no one's wrong to feel any way here. I'm just going to talk about how I feel, because there's a lot of crap to discuss when it comes to this. So I've been rambling long enough. Let's really kind of try to start to break this down a little bit, you guys. The online service. All the good, all the bad. So let's start off really with the bad, you guys. Because I think it's important to acknowledge it, whether you're already mad about it or whether you are turning a blind eye to what's wrong here. Let's discuss it. Personally, like I said, like you saw in my tweet, at the end of the day, there's a lot of things Nintendo isn't getting right here. It's their first time coming out with a paid online service, and I definitely think, my opinion, is that I think that the simple fact that they chose to, or even maybe they had to, maybe they just couldn't get this to happen any other way, the fact that they're choosing to launch the paid version of the service over a year and a half into the life of the console, I think is one of the things that is really hurting this whole idea and making the lack of features sting to people that much more. I would argue that if this was day one, if this was March 3rd, 2017, the day the Switch launches, the day Breath of the Wild was coming out, was also the day that Nintendo's online service was going to suddenly have this $20 per year charge. And if it had all the same features and lack of features and everything it does right now, if that happened from day one, I feel like, honestly, no one would be questioning it, or very, very few people. And even the few people questioning it, I feel like their vocal outrage wouldn't really be that loud, you know? That's just my opinion and perspective, but I feel pretty good about that. You know, I've seen a couple of other people mention the same thing. In fact, I caught a couple of minutes of Ms. T's live stream before I even went live here, and I think I heard him say something similar. So, you know, that's another example of somebody else who kind of sees it the way I do, because I honestly agree with that idea. I feel like if Nintendo was charging $20 their online service out of the gate, there would be less problem. People would be less angry. People would feel less demanding about features. And I think that just by default, the fact that we made it so long into this generation and this console's life, and we had online play for free, and we weren't worried about bells and whistles and features and all that stuff. It was just like, hey, I can buy my Mario Kart, I can play it online. I can buy my Splatoon, I can play it online. A couple of third-party games, I can play them online. No big deal. It's not costing me any extra money like it would with Sony or Microsoft. And that's been great, and I think that people got used to that. And now that Nintendo, instead of just making it something that comes with their console the day it launches, they're now, it almost feels like they're pulling the rug out from a lot of people, from all of us, basically. And they're flipping a switch that's completely changing the game. And I think people are willing to say, for the most part, Nintendo, you have the right to charge online for your service if you want to. Sony and Microsoft have been doing it for years. Microsoft for a very long time, a couple generations even. And everyone's just fine with it. And the fact that you're charging so little makes it even better. So we like you, Nintendo. We allow the competition to get away with it, or at least we put up with the competition doing it. We shouldn't hold you back, so you have the right to do it, and you definitely have the right to charge only $20 as opposed to $60 from your competitor. That being said, flipping the switch out of nowhere when we've had it for free for so long means people now by default expect a big change. If you're going to make a change, and with that change comes money, people expect a significant and justifiable change, not to mention everything that a paid online service represents for a console already has a very significant and well-established standard, thanks to Microsoft and Sony. Mostly Microsoft, but Sony as well. Yes, Sony's only done it for one generation, but they've also been doing it for now going on 5 years. So even though it's one console, it's 5 years of a paid service. And so there's a standard, and so people now have a very legitimate right to expect some kind of standard to be met. Only charging $20 means I think Nintendo, it's fair to give them some wiggle room. They don't have to necessarily do all of the same things Sony and Microsoft does, absolutely, but I think it's fair to expect something significant out of it if you're paying $20, because I don't think $20 is a lot of money, and I think it gives them wiggle room, but $20 is still $20, and if you're going to ask people to pay even $1, you got to give them something worthwhile. And I'm sorry, man, I know a lot of the Nintendo defenders are going to want to come out of the woodwork and start to complain and maybe yell at me and downvote my video and all this, and like, oh, it's totally fine, it's perfect what they're doing. It's like, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm even somebody who's willing to pay the $20. I'm still here to tell you, it's not. Every single person that is complaining and being angry and vocal, granted, some people are angry and vocal in like a shitty way that they shouldn't be, and the way you go about it might be wrong, but the simple idea of being angry and being vocal and making your voice heard and trying to say, Nintendo, you're messing this up, that's fair. Those people have legitimate complaints. I agree with those, man. I mean, the cloud save situation is a mess. The NES games have continued to be a little bit of a mystery, and they don't seem to justify the price. And then the fact that cloud saves, they don't work for every single game, and cloud saves, your data will apparently disappear if you stop paying for the service, even if it's for a small break. Those are huge problems. And in fact, I've even discussed how the cloud save thing doesn't affect me. Rob's gaming life, I'm not needing, wanting, or desiring cloud saves. So Rob doesn't care about it. However, I've started to think about the cloud save thing the last couple of days. I think the last video that I made about the cloud saves was probably 4 or 5 days ago from now. And in that time since I made that video, like, my opinion hasn't changed, don't get me wrong. The video still stands. But what's happened is I've really started to put it in perspective even more since then. I've now also been seeing and hearing and listening to people's complaints, the ones that aren't so shitty that I'm not willing to tune them out. The people who are complaining in a way that's, like, respectable, I guess. And it's like, you know, if Nintendo is now suddenly making people pay for the right to use cloud saves. Cloud saves already have a standard. Sony, Microsoft, and PC and Steam have already put in place where cloud saves, they just work. If you have access to them, they work. It's a system level thing, and it just works for everything you want to cloud save. Bing, bang, boom, done. Wrap it up in a bow in a package. Here you go, nice and easy. Nintendo putting cloud saves behind a paywall, but then also not fully delivering on that by making every game work with cloud saves and making every game, or making it a system level thing so that it's not up to the game to work with cloud saves or not. It's just a thing the Switch does for every game. That is a problem. If cloud saves were free, I mean, if they were just like available the way I think Xbox makes them just available and Sony doesn't, you have to pay. I could be wrong, but either way, if it was just, we're just gonna make cloud saves available and it's good whether you pay for the service or not, then it's like, you know what? If it doesn't work for every game, it sucks and it's stupid, but it would be hard to be mad about it because it doesn't cost anyone a thing. But Nintendo has the gall to demand money from your wallet to use cloud saves, but they're going to be picking and choosing what games you can even use those cloud saves on. Man. That's not cool. It's not cool. Again, Rob doesn't care about cloud saves, so it's not like I'm mad for me, but I'm mad for everyone else. I'm mad for what we should expect the standard for Nintendo to be meeting is, and I'm mad for you guys who are mad about it because it is a problem, and that's not the way to go about it. Also, when we talk about the 20 NES games, I kind of see a big problem here as well. Not because I'm not excited for it, because even as I said in my tweet, I want access to those games, and if I have to pay $20 a year to have my online plan, my access, whatever, like, yeah, I'm probably going to do it. I'm going to wait a little bit, but, you know, that is what it is. But when you look at what they're doing, I see a huge flaw there, because I don't understand why Nintendo had to wait a year and a half to launch the online service, which also means they had to wait a year and a half to make NES games available, but now they're locking those NES games behind the service. I feel like if Nintendo just had the $20 service, and even if it was nothing but online play, you want to play online with the Switch, it's $20 a year. And let's forget any features. Just online play was $20 a year, but that was day one with the Switch. I think a lot of people would have just not questioned it, and it would have been fine because $20 is so little. And honestly, Nintendo, you probably could just be making those NES games available for a couple of bucks download. Why make them this online-enabled, rotational, behind-a-paywall online service thing? Like, yes, I know I'm excited to have access and play those, and maybe that sounds a little contradictory to some people, but I don't see it that way, because I can know what I'm willing to spend my own hard-earned money on and what I feel good about doing out of my own wallet, but I can also acknowledge how things maybe should be. And I can acknowledge when it's maybe not being handled the best. And I personally think Nintendo would have been better off launching an online paid thing for $20 day one with the Switch, and then also just selling everybody for $2 or $3 a piece NES games. Even if Nintendo didn't make them online enabled, like, does anyone really care about that? It's neat, and I think we're all going to try it, and it's probably going to be cool, don't get me wrong, but I don't think anyone feels like they're missing online play with Super Mario Bros. 3 or Excitebike on the NES, or The Legend of Zelda. Do we need to trade virtual controllers with someone in another country or another state back and forth as, oh, I died on Mario level 1-1, and then you die on Mario level 1-2, and then we switch virtual? I mean, whatever they're doing, who cares? What if you just said for $2.99, 20 NES games are just going to become available on the eShop? You would make more money that way, I think, Nintendo, and you would make people happier. People already want just a virtual console, so start that, break the boundaries of a virtual console by just selling these damn games separately and having launched the Switch with an online service, and then people wouldn't see it as you holding these games for ransom behind a kind of crappy online service that many people don't think is worth even 20 bucks. So there are more details to get into, but that's kind of like the big loud version of the problems I see with the Switches online and why I understand why people are mad. And I think that they're honestly right to be mad. People should be fighting for this. If it's in you to fight for it, I should say, then you should fight for it. This is a worthy cause and a worthy voice for people to express if they want to let Nintendo know what's going on and know that it's a problem. And I agree with it, you know? But, you know, on the flip side, you know me, I like to see both sides. Some people hate seeing both sides, and that's whatever. I like to do it. And also, I have an opinion on the other side here, which is, again, referencing my tweet yet again, at the end of the day, access to playing online, when games like Dark Souls and Smash Brothers are launching in just the next few months, games that I want to be playing online from the day that I have them, and the fact that I do still want to play these 20 NES games, regardless of whether they should or shouldn't be, they're coming, and they're coming behind the $20 paywall. I can't change that right now. So, honestly, for me, with my income and with the dollars in my bank account and my wallet, honestly, you guys, I think it's worth it for me to spend $20 a year, give Nintendo 20 bucks one time, and then step away from that transaction, and suddenly I can play every Switch game online. I can play these 20 NES games online. If Nintendo will continue to evolve the service and add more NES games, or maybe add Super NES games or whatever down the road, I'll have access to those too, because way back I gave Nintendo 20 bucks once, and now I've got all these things. That is worth my 20 US dollars for me. You do not have to agree. I will never tell you you have to find the same value that I find in it. It's fine if you don't, as I just spent 10 minutes saying. But for me, that's what I'm going to do, you know? This is a controversy that to me echoes some of the things we've seen before. And to be fair, even though this is a big, messy, dirty, gross controversy right now, and it should be, we've seen Nintendo come through things like these in the past. I think of the voice chat thing with Splatoon when that launched on the Wii U. That was a huge mess, huge controversy. Everyone was very vocal and yelling at Nintendo, "You're doing this wrong, you're screwing it up, we hate you, I don't want to spend any money on you anymore," yada, yada, yada. It was a problem, and you know what? Nintendo made it through okay. Splatoon still sold incredibly well. It reviewed well. All these Nintendo fans and Wii U owners loved the game, and they made it through okay. Everyone hated Metroid Prime Federation Force when that was launched, and Nintendo had like their most downvoted video ever. And people were like basically almost sending death threats Reggie's way and Nintendo's way over that game. And while the game didn't end up being amazing, it's not like the game turned out great or anything. What did happen is Nintendo got through it. The game came and went. It was what it was. Nintendo didn't close their doors, and everything was okay. The YouTube thing. Nintendo constantly has problem with the YouTube issues, and there were months and years ago, it was a big problem, and people were really vocal about being angry at Nintendo when they launched their creator service, and everyone complained, and it was Nintendo's doomed. They can't figure it out, and you know what? They even still have the YouTube problems, but it's fine. No one talks about it. No one cares. No one's held back from it. People have ways around it. I get around it. I talk about Nintendo almost exclusively, and I'm not dealing with their copyright issues. So, I don't know. It just is what it is. Nintendo is resilient, and I think that even this will be something that eventually calms down and sort of goes away. I think that that will especially be true if they continue to evolve and improve the service. And I think that's my final point here. And while I'm upset the same way a lot of you guys are upset, and I see the problems, not only am I willing to pay the $20, probably by the time Dark Souls comes out for that and Smash Brothers and the NES games, at the same time, I'm not going to yet bury Nintendo 6 feet under, just because there is a chance over the course of the next several months and maybe even year, Nintendo improves it. They hear us, they maybe already have plans, they want to listen to the voice of the gamer, they want to make it right, they want to make it work, and maybe they'll start to add so many things and fix things, and the cloud save problem becomes an issue of the past, and then it's like, hey, suddenly this thing is worth way more than 20 bucks, and that's all Nintendo's asking of us. So I want to believe Nintendo will get there. I have faith in them, I love them, yeah, I'm a fanboy and a sucker sometimes, what are you gonna do? The problem is real. Nintendo needs to fix it for the vast majority of gamers and the vast majority of you guys out there that have these very legitimate problems. But I think that they also will, or at least there's a good chance that they will. If they never do, it's a huge loss for Nintendo, and it's going to be a big problem for a long time. But if in 6 months they improve a lot of it and they justify that 20 bucks, I think everything's going to work out. So, I don't know. Those are my big thoughts, the big ideas on the good and bad and what's going on. It's a mess, like I've said. It's a controversy. Nintendo's got some fixing to do. The Nintendo defenders can't really justify a lot of what's going on, in my opinion. I think that everyone's just got to look inside themselves and decide how they feel and move forward that way. Don't be afraid to let Nintendo know what you think. I think they need to hear this stuff from us. And that's it. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to end this here, man. That's what I got to say about this. Definitely talk about it. What do you guys think? Are you furious? Are you not? Are you buying the service? Are you not? Do you need to send letters and say, Nintendo, fix it? Write your congressman. Make this thing work. Or maybe you just don't even care, in which case I don't even know why you watched the video. So that's going to be it for me on this crazy topic. Please discuss it below, guys. Thanks as always for tuning in. This is Rob of Ro2R Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.